Let me tell you why your range of motion is holding back your muscle growth more than you think. So one of the biggest mistakes I see in the gym is people cutting their range of motion short just to lift a heavier number. But the truth is, the more you shorten your range of motion just to lift a heavier weight, the less tension you're actually applying to the muscle you're trying to grow. Because that shortened range of motion is actually compensation. See, your body cuts the rep short because the weight is too heavy for that muscle to control to the full range of motion on its own, so the joints, connective tissues, and momentum start taking over to do the work that your muscle should be doing. And people do this for a few reasons. To hit a PR even when the standards are nowhere near the same, to have a heavier number in their logbook, to show off to people in the gym or online, and then last but not least, because partial range of motion is easier. Full range of motion training sucks. The deeper you go into your stretch, the weaker you are and the more uncomfortable it gets. As you've probably experienced, you are never going to be as strong at the bottom of a squat that you are at the very top, and that pattern goes for every single movement that you do. But here's the issue. When you cut your range of motion short, you stop tapping into muscle fibers that only get recruited at deeper joint angles. So you're actually limiting the growth potential of that muscle, but you're also piling on even more systemic fatigue, central nervous system strain, and joint connective tissue stress. Because when you cut that range of motion short, you're almost always doing it to lift more weight. And that heavier load might look good on paper, but that does not mean you're actually building more muscle tissue. You're just putting more stress on your body as a whole while giving less stimulus to the muscle you're actually trying to grow. So all the extra weight and all the extra strain on your central nervous system, joints, connective tissues is all for less progress. Let me give you an example. Take a pull-up. If you only go halfway down, you're never really stretching your lats, your teres minor and major. You're basically just hitting a lot of bicep because you're in a strong position, but that strong position is a shortened position that allows you to yank more reps out, but you're missing the fibers that create that width, thickness, and real development of your back. And this is we're talking about biceps, let's just bring in the bicep curl for an example. If you avoid the bottom portion, the full stretch portion, because it feels weak, all you're doing is staying in the part of the rep that actually favors leverage, not muscle recruitment. You're gonna have a lot of forearm, a lot of shoulder, and a little bit of bicep, all because you're trying to train that shortened range and you're not getting into that uncomfortable, fully lengthened position that you feel weaker in. So next time you go to train, leave the ego at the door. Stop chasing weight when the actual goal is a meaningful stimulus for hypertrophy. Because every time you perform a rep, you should be asking yourself one thing, not how much weight can I lift, but how much tension can I apply to the muscle I'm trying to target? Because cutting your range of motion short might make you feel like you're getting stronger, but it's actually making your training less effective. So use the weight that you can control through a full range of motion so you can expose as many muscle fibers as possible. Because when you can step away from your ego and choose the weight that actually challenges the muscle, not your pride, that's when you can truly start hypertrophying a muscle.